Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade. Welcome to, you guessed it, another fresh out of the movie theater review. This time for Mickey 17, Bong Joon Ho's latest movie starring Robert Pattinson, Naomi Ackie, Stephen Wynn, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo. And full confession right now, this is actually my second time watching Mickey 17. I saw it during opening weekend, decided it was just, one of those movies that I had to watch again before formulating a full-on opinion, deciding how I feel about it, and then recording a review. So this is my second time watching Mickey 17. I now know how I feel about it. So without further ado, let's jump in. So the first thing to say is that honestly, having only seen Bong Joon Ho's only seen two films of his previously leading up to Mickey 17, his popular films nonetheless. So those would be Snowpiercer and Parasite, definitely Parasite, of course. And having seen those films and having seen this, I could definitely say, as far as my personal opinion goes, Bong Joon Ho, what he attempts to do with his films definitely reminds me of what Rod Serling was attempting to do with the Twilight Zone, where you're telling these stories that, on paper might appear a little bit far-fetched, particularly when he's dealing with like dystopian sci-fi, but nonetheless, obviously are still quite topical and definitely have very blatant social commentary that still weave into what seems like kind of like a far out story, something that's just kind of like out there, whether it is because it's like a science fiction story, just because it seems like this would never happen, this is so unlikely, something of that sort. And safe to say that the same is pretty much done here, with the exception of the fact that unlike Snowpiercer and definitely unlike Parasite, this is definitely more on, all in all, more on the light-hearted side of things. What you see in that first trailer is more or less what this movie is, how it plays out, where it's just this kind of I'm not straight up wacky, but rather campy, space comedy starring this guy, played by, of course, Robert Pattinson, who, has his reasons for deciding to become an expendable, somebody who clones himself in the service of dying over and over again for, the betterment of mankind. And that's what you see in the trailer. So that's all I'll give away about this film. And, that's a good chunk of the film, but not the entire majority of the film. There is something else that comes into play later on here that definitely is more aligned with what I've seen previously from Bong Joon Ho, where you're making that blatant, serious social commentary that really is no laughing matter, that really does, ask some hard questions. And again, like Rod Serling, really does put humanity on the spot, like, hey, maybe we do suck, maybe we are the worst because we do X, Y, and Z. So that does come into play later, but there is a good portion of this nearly 2 hour and 20-minute film that does deal with the zaniness of Robert Pattinson clones dying over and over again. And that was honestly, all the cloning stuff was honestly, all in all, what intrigued me the most, what captivated me the most, what I enjoyed the most about this film. Robert Pattinson is a powerhouse talent. Obviously, he's no longer the Twilight guy, and people still making Twilight jokes about him just need to fucking grow up, apparently. Hopefully nobody out there is still making sparkling vampire jokes, but if you are, grow up, please. But anyway, he's moved far beyond that, and once again, he showcases his range here, because obviously when you're dealing with clones, there is going to be a bit, a bit of, I got to be this and then I got to be that, because, I'm clones, but I'm also the same person. He really does play that convincingly here and very effectively here, and I really enjoyed his performance. I really enjoyed everybody's performances, honestly. I like Naomi Ackie as the love interest, Stephen Wynn as his friend. Loved Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette. They were definitely going for a take on America's current leader, and depending on where you fall on that, you're either going to get really angry about that or you're going to enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and take from that what you will, but that was definitely what they were going for. They don't even try and hide it, and I don't mind if they, frankly, I don't mind if they don't try and hide it, as long as it doesn't hijack the whole film, and it doesn't, but they're definitely going for, a commentary on our current leader, number 47. So all of that was good, all of that was solid, and all the character-led stuff, what I'm saying is that's what really sold this for me and really made it work. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, there is another element that's introduced here. Again, that's why Bong Joon Ho really does kind of remind me of like a modern day feature-length film director version of Rod Serling, because you think, when you watch an episode of the original Twilight Zone, you're thinking, okay, it's going to be this, and then something, that's what the show's famous for, out of the blue something happens where you're like, oh shit. And I definitely got that with Snowpiercer. I definitely had that with Parasite. Here, it was much less, oh shit, and more, okay, so that's the direction we're going in now. Because, like with those previous two films, there comes a point in the story where something happens and that completely switches the entire trajectory of the film. The film is now about this. We're going to focus on this. We're going to run with this. And with what it was, I was like, this is definitely an important message. Even though I've seen it before, it's an important message. It's definitely a relevant one. Totally get what you're trying to say here. You have my respect for, shedding light on this, shining light on it, and using a fictional story that takes place in space to explore this topic. Mad respect. I don't mind it. It's not the worst thing you could have done, but I really do wish that more time was spent on the cloning stuff. I really would have liked to have seen that fleshed out a bit more than it was, take center stage a little bit more than it ended up doing. That's all I'm saying, and that in a nutshell is my main complaint about Mickey 17. All the cloning stuff with Robert Pattinson was really engaging, really good. Robert Pattinson does a fantastic job selling it. I liked Mickey's backstory, but then when the film shifts and ends up, dealing with this other thing, I was just kind of like, okay, I'm not hating it, I'm not mad at you, but can we go back to the cloning stuff, please? And it never quite really does. It technically still has a presence throughout the film, and it definitely has a resolution, so it kind of wraps around, but I really could have used more cloning stuff, more character driven stuff, because everybody here is actually really good. So yeah, that's in a nutshell my overall opinion on Mickey 17. All in all, of the three Bong Joon Ho films I have seen thus far, Mickey 17 is the weakest, but it's by no means terrible. It's not by no means bad. It has really, really strong moments. It makes the commentary that you expect a Bong Joon Ho film to make. This guy loves talking, like, again, Rod Serling loves talking about discrimination, class, the gap between the rich and the poor, commentary on like how, being poor, being impoverished makes you desperate, all that good stuff. And I liked seeing all of that again, but it just wasn't as strong as it was with Snowpiercer or Parasite is what I'm saying. But I still quite thoroughly enjoyed Mickey 17 all in all. I wish that, that story change, that the twist, if you will, was a little bit stronger and a little bit more gripping, like it definitely was with Parasite. But for what it was, I enjoyed it. I invested myself. I strapped on. I was like, okay, even though this wasn't as strong as I would have liked it to have been, you still managed to, do everything you're setting out to do with using this story point. So kudos to you. And also, it's quite the good looking film. I saw this on a big screen here, the biggest screen, one of the biggest screens, in my local area. Really looked good on the screen. Loved how I filled it up. And I guess that's another minor complaint too. I wish I could have seen more of this, this universe, because it seems like a really, really interesting universe. And, so along with, wanting to see more, wanting them to explore a little bit more of, cloning in this universe, I would have liked to have just seen more of this world in general. But wrapping it up, I thoroughly enjoyed Mickey 17, and I'm going to go ahead and give Mickey 17 a solid 8 out of 10. So it's really good, pretty good, but not excellent, and certainly not a masterpiece like Parasite or Snowpiercer, but I still really had a good time with it. Robert Pattinson knocks it out of the park. Everybody knocks it out of the park and is really good. I just wish it was more, spent more time developing the characters a little bit more, particularly Pattinson and the whole cloning thing, than it did when it switched gears and became about this whole other thing. But for what it was still a solid watch. So 8 out of 10 for Mickey 17. This has been another edition of Wade Watches, and I'll see you lovely people next time. Peace.